Life really does take us down some very unique paths and can veer off to all sorts of new roads and avenues and places that we least expect, especially at very interesting times. And we're going to kind of go into that in this video about how when we least expect something, that's when it comes to fruition, right? And we're going to go into that, and I'm going to use my own personal experience, elaborate on that as well. So let's go. I'm sure many of you watching this video have played video games in your life, and even if not, you probably are well aware as to how a lot of them build up over time. When you begin, you are facing the easiest bosses in a lot of these games, or in multiplayer, right, skill-based matchmaking sort of things. You're facing the easiest opponents, and the better you become, the more challenging those opponents grow into. And it's so similar to life, because every step of the way there is a greater challenge that lies ahead. And when I look back on the years past and some of the growth that I've made, I'm proud of myself for it. But at the same time, I see like, okay, I've taken those steps, and now there are greater challenges that lie ahead that in years past I probably wasn't as prepared for. One of them, as I've been mentioning in a lot of these videos, is a new relationship that's formed in my life, and never doing it. It's a big commitment, being for the first time, right? And so trying to figure out a lot of different things within that, it's difficult. It's a challenge. It's fun, it's exciting, but it's not an easy process. At the same time, in my own personal life, I'm also trying to take the next step in my not just career, but financial life, and kind of decipher where it is that I want to go with that. My job right now, I walk dogs, and that might sound very elementary for a job, but it actually does pay pretty well. Nonetheless, it's not something that's financially sustainable for the long term, right? Or will keep me at a stable point financially in the long run. And so trying to find a way to either add another job or focus on something that I can maybe build into becoming a career or a business or something along those lines, but also being realistic with it and saying, hey, I can't just expect that, right? There's no quick cash grab. I also have to find ways to make money. It's funny because a lot of these sort of realizations, even my dad mentioned a lot of this that I'm saying right now yesterday to me. It was kind of some tough love that he gave me. It's all happening right as the year's beginning, right? We're in mid-February right now, so it's been a month and a half, but a lot of this stuff and these newfound opportunities are being granted to me right at the beginning of 2024. And it's kind of showing me in a way that, like, yeah, adulthood, man, here you go. You know, here it is. And obviously I've been a man over the past few years. I'm about to be 24 in a month from now. And so in many ways, I feel like I am at that point, but at the same time, there's so much to that process. And it feels like all of a sudden 2024 has shown up, and it's like, it's time to level up. It's time to go even further and take these next steps. And you know what the part about that's the trickiest is that it really is at times awful. At times it sucks. The storm, right? Having to have those conversations with my dad about, like, you need to start making more money. You need to start figuring out what you're doing. You need to be more communicative with us about who you are and what you're doing in your life, and not just keep saying, oh, I'm figuring it out, and actually do it. You know, you need to figure this stuff out and stop saying you're going to. And I, along with my dad, are well aware that it takes time, and that it's not just this one moment where, like, yep, everything's aligned. I've got it all figured out. But there are the many steps of, like, okay, I got to get a higher paying job. I got to find some level of direction in my career, so to speak. And also figure out the complexities involved in forming a relationship, an intimate romantic connection with someone. That takes time. And going into 2024, I kind of made goals, or at least applied myself to start doing that a little bit more and focusing in on, okay, where am I actually going? What direction do I actually want to head down? And it's just funny. It's just funny how that works, of like, this stuff is thrown at you. And it's like last year I felt very secure. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm I'm walking dogs right now. I'm making some pretty good money for what it's worth. I'm still only 23. It was only my first year working that job. I was in the best physical shape of my life. And I feel just a level of peace, at a level of ease. And the reality is that is just never permanent. It always goes away at some point. There's a storm. And the most difficult aspect of that situation is to recognize that it's actually a good thing and a very beneficial aspect of life. And the truth is, there's no excuses, especially when you start to age a little bit. And when I say age a little bit, I just mean like become an adult, right? There's no one but me that can do this, right? Or can make something work or make something happen in my own personal life. This is my journey, you know? I can obviously ask people for help. I can be open about stuff. It's a team effort in many ways, life is, but when it comes to figuring your, you know what, out, it comes down to you. And that's what I'm kind of recognizing right now is like, yeah, I'm young, I'm very young, but I can't just use that as an excuse forever. You know, that mentality has always kind of bothered me a little bit because it keeps us in a state of comfort. Oh, I'm 18, I'm 21, I'm 24, I'm 25. Oh, I'm young, I have time. You can use that to kind of sit back and just relax, take it easy. And now I will say, within all of this, I don't think life should be taken way too seriously. That's where the balance comes into play also of like throughout even this process and what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, enjoying it and acknowledging these things. And I feel like I've always been pretty good at that, of appreciating and being grateful for the very minute aspects and components to what life brings about. But it's hard, man. And that's the thing that I'm trying to not just accept, but embrace, is the fact that it's a challenge. Life is on the go. You know, it doesn't wait up for you. And that's probably one of the most difficult epiphanies that can hit you in adulthood, is that this sucks. You got your problems, you got what you're dealing with, figure it out, you know? We all have our own puzzles to solve. And the reality is that these puzzles, like when you take a literal puzzle of a bunch of pieces, you don't just assemble it all at once or half and then half. It is literally one piece by one piece. And some pieces may not fully make sense, but they do connect. And over time, you start to see that vision getting a little bit clearer and the pieces assembling one by one. Well, I don't want to take life too seriously. I do want to at least put more time and energy into what it is that I'm focusing on a daily basis and pay attention more to my own habits. I encourage anyone watching to do the same. You know, think about what you're doing right now. You're watching this video. Maybe you have it on the side of your screen and you're scrolling through something else. Maybe you're driving. Maybe whatever the case might be. I find it important to take time throughout the day, not just to acknowledge the moment, but what you are doing in this specific moment in time. And that can kind of make us realize like, oh, I am just sitting here doom scrolling on my phone, doing absolutely nothing, not only productive, but healthy, not something that's just not doing anything but wasting time. Even if it's not going out and running a marathon or setting up a business plan, it can literally just be talking to your family. That is a lot more healthy and productive and worth your time than sitting on your phone and doing nothing for hours and just being so embedded in social media and content that is just not really serving any purpose in your life or anyone's life. And when I say this, I'm referring also to my own habitual cravings and traits and habits that I have of like doom scrolling on my phone, or sometimes just not taking initiative on looking up and searching for jobs, more opportunities, trying to work on YouTube and make more videos, and also talk to my parents, talk to my family about what's going on, which I mentioned earlier. My dad said I need to communicate better. That's something that I've always struggled with, particularly around them, is being open about really anything. I've lived with them for so many years, and I think the hardest part is that they still see me as that child, as that offspring that was just so innocent, so pure, benevolent. And the older you become, you kind of are more complex. You grow a sense of morality, not just internally, but in terms of your own approach towards life. You know, you start to test the boundaries of what is right and wrong, and you grow up. You become a lot more intelligent, a lot more mature and aware of everything. And so trying to kind of shed that old skin and show my parents, like, I'm not just a kid, I'm not just even an adolescent anymore, like, I'm an adult, is a process for me that has been difficult. And I do need to start being more honest around them about even stuff like this, man. The passion of mine, like making videos or writing, or some conversations I had with my friends. A lot of times with my parents, I'm just like, hey, how are you? Go to my room and, you know, do whatever I need to do throughout the day, but not really sit down and have a conversation with them. But that too is a very productive thing, and a healthy trait in our lives is to have people we can go to speak with, interact with, connect with. That's the whole point of humanity, is to come together. I certainly need to do a better job. If you've been watching my recent videos, and if you listened to this far in this one, you can see that there's just kind of a lot happening right now for me. And it's good. I like that. I like the pressure. I do, because I feel like it's earned. It's showing me that I've grown quite a bit in my life. And it feels sometimes like, oh, maybe I'm stuck. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe there are those thoughts like, am I a loser? I'm not going to say I attach myself to them, but they at least permeate through my head occasionally. Regardless, I see that I've come a long way in my life, and I'm very proud of that. At the same token, there's a new level that I've reached, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the foundation that is now present. A new relationship, trying to balance that out with everything else, like I keep referring to. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and understand where I'm coming from, and I thank you as always for tuning in. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, your comments down below, and feel free to like and subscribe as well. Much love. Will from Shadow Ascent, signing out.